as usual, I'm realizing that in the moments leading up to me filming, there's an urge of, I guess, like a barrage of thoughts popping in my head, where I'm starting to think like, oh, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna talk about? Where should I go? Like, blah blah blah. And yeah, I guess my antidote to such moments is to just hit record and see what happens. Pull trig. Pull the trigger, as a good friend of mine would say. um, but yeah, today's a bit of a different day in that I think on other days where I film, or at least most days, I tend to film when I really want to and when I'm feeling pretty good and inspired and like I have a message to share, I guess. But today's a bit different because it's been kind of a shitty day, kind of a past few shitty days. Um, well, my dog that I had back home that I grew up with since 6th grade, I think, almost 14, 15 years, passed away, and that's the first loss in my life, or at least like loss of like someone or something. I don't know, I guess it's a little weird sometimes with like pets and stuff. But it's also not, because it's all subjective, right? I mean, it's all just the level of attachment, and like not in like a negative connotation, but like, you know, the more you care about something and the more like you have memories and you like love something and or someone, like the more it hurts when it's gone, right? And um yeah, I mean, for some people dogs are like their best friends. I mean, they say dogs are man's best friends, right? And so it's really tough. And I think the the death of my dog was like the first time that someone that I was close to, or like, you know, knew really well, grew up with a long time. I mean, 15 years, I'm 25 right now, so that's nearly more than half my life, you know? It was a really big chunk of time. And that was a few days ago, and it kind of comes and it goes. Um, Sometimes, some days are harder, some days are easier, some days I'm very content, some days I'm pretty distraught, you know? Or more like moments, it kind of comes in waves. Um, but yeah, so I slept super late last night, felt pretty shit, and just sad. Um, and just, yeah, anxious too. I think the video I posted last, I guess, for when this uploads, it'll be the last video I posted. I think I titled it "We Can't Create Outcomes." That was a pretty challenging video for me, and I think, you know, I think my first few videos, especially my most successful video, as of now, which is my Malaysia vlog, um, like those, I don't know, I guess like when I was traveling it was easier to make. I wasn't as like cognizant of like, I kind of was, I mean, I was aware of like the negative feelings that would pop up. I would feel like triggered and like just shitty. I'd have shitty thoughts and like shitty, you know, I guess it's the thoughts that come first. It's kind of the first layer, and then as you dig deeper into the thoughts, it's kind of more of a feeling. Sometimes, you know, we don't operate on a level of awareness of our feelings. Like, it's very easy to be distracted these days, right? And a lot of people don't even notice their thoughts. And you know, I was also kind of thinking about what my channel might even look like to other people, or like what it is that I'm exactly doing. And you know, part of that is like, I think there's an element of like fear, maybe an element of ego, like worrying about what people are thinking or worrying about how, I guess, how I mean, part of it is how I'm making an impact, how I can help people, what's effective, what are people resonating with, which is not really much information on at this point because I mean, I've gotten like less than 100 views on like the past few videos. But yeah, I guess just thinking about like what exactly is it that I'm doing. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, I guess what I'm trying to do is just do what feels right. And, I think even in the chaos and the journey and the process and like not knowing what I'm doing, I guess that's kind of the realization I had, that like the process is important, of utmost importance. And I think a lot of us have lost our appreciation, or maybe we never had an appreciation for the process, and all we want is the outcomes. And we can constantly move the goalposts, we can constantly want more and more outcomes. We want a better job, we want more money, we want the next coolest PlayStation, a cooler YouTube video to watch, a more stimulating YouTube video. Could be fucking pornography, more and more stimulating pornography, buying new shit, new experiences, traveling. I mean, traveling is definitely one of them, seeing cooler, crazier things. Seeing cooler and crazier things. And, that's one that I've experienced firsthand. I mean, all of these I've experienced firsthand. And I guess that's part of why I've wanted to share all this, is that, I mean, I may not know where I'll end up, or how I'll end up, or if I'll end up anywhere at all. But I know where I'm at now. I know that it's important to know where I'm at now. I think that's of utmost importance. And I think a lot of us, we get stuck thinking about where we need to go, and in a lot of ways it doesn't serve us. And I mean, I've even learned this through vlogging, is like, as I put more pressure on myself about things, like a good example is like vlogging. Like yesterday, like I tried to vlog. I try to kind of mix like the reflective aspect of my videos, like thinking, like just talking like this. I tried to mix that with like my travel vlogging type videos I was doing earlier. And in my mind, I mean, by the end, during it, I felt shit. I felt pretty shit at times, especially towards the end. But also by the end, I felt really good. It's my thumbnail. Well, the thumbnail I chose is actually not it's not the moment I realized, like, wow, like I've just stumbled upon a great realization, but it's like the moment right before, where I'm feeling really sad, I'm feeling really dejected, my face, you can see it in my face. But then like seconds later, like I actually like realized, like, wait, this is kind of a beautiful realization, and like what a funny thing, because like, I think that's what it takes, and that's kind of what inspired my title for it too. Like, I think it takes trying things and testing our beliefs to really have conviction about it, right? To really see what it is that serves us, what beliefs serve us and are tested and we find to be true. And I think for me, a very important piece of wisdom that I've really been trying to test, and that I believe, like I intellectual level, I believe it. It's harder to feel though, right? Like there's a difference between believing something and feeling like we believe it. We can believe that it's not good to smoke, but we can still smoke cigarettes. And that's what causes cognitive dissonance and so on, right? The uncomfortability of doing things that differ from our values and our beliefs. And so it's really hard. I mean, it's a lot easier to believe it at an intellectual level, but it's a lot harder to feel it and even harder to put it into practice, I think. And I guess that's kind of where it all ties into my channel and what I'm trying to do, which is, well, I mean, I don't really know what I'm trying to do. I guess what I do know is that, I guess the starting foundation is that I know that I think the world could use more honesty, more authenticity, more vulnerability, and that people can benefit from seeing the process, not just the end product, not just the finished product. And I feel like a lot of today, like on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube Shorts, like you're just seeing like the finished product. It seems like to me, it's a big focus on just all these crazy shit that people have done in such a hyper compact like little clip, and it just gives a very bad idea of what reality is like. And I guess one of the values or ideas that I have come to realize is that I want people to, I guess, return to a sense of realness, return to a sense of reality, to get a better sense of what life is like. Because like even all the crazy shit you see or the really impressive shit, like I really like playing music and like guitar and shit. So it used to be a massive part of my life. And I remember watching like videos of like Sunga Jung, I think is his name. Just like YouTube videos of like people who are insanely good at guitar. And like all you see is like that finished product, like their perfect take. But you have no idea like how many hours they practice, how many times they made mistakes, how many takes they did just to get that final take, you know? And I think, I mean, I'm definitely someone that appreciates realness. I feel like just in general growing up, I've always felt, I guess, I don't know what it is really. It's like a sense of, I mean, it might be some pessimism, but I don't even know if it's that. I feel like I just see the world differently. And I mean, just for saying that, like, my mind's already like, oh, like, what's such an egotistical thing to say, blah, blah. But I guess, like, I don't know, I guess more so I felt disconnected from others because, like, I felt like I saw all these things, like, that were wrong or, like, that just didn't make sense or would just lead to suffering. Like, I don't know, for example, like, bullies or, like, groups of people that would, like, I don't know, think it's cool to smoke or, like, drink beer, like, underage and shit. It's, like, I don't know, I just took notice to things and made observations and I wanted to, like, understand all these different phenomenons that just didn't really make sense at the surface because it's, like, like, I mean, smoking's bad for you, drinking's bad for you, like, and, like, it can destroy your life. There's a lot of things that can absolutely destroy your life and that destroy many lives. And, like, it just didn't make sense why, I guess, people didn't see that, or maybe they did see that, but they still didn't act in a way that, like, future them would thank them for, I guess, essentially. And so I guess I just always observed strange things about people, and I wanted to understand why. I used to be bullied as a kid, and I remember for a long time I was very angry and resentful. But then I kind of just felt sad and sympathetic, and I guess more compassionate because, I mean, they're really just fucking up their own life, and I mean, I even know of like a bully in middle school who's ended up in jail. You know, I think there's a couple of them, and so yeah, I mean, like, I guess it goes back to, I guess it all comes down to awareness too, like, or maybe it's, I don't know. I think it's because like you can be aware that something's bad for you, but it's a whole other story. Like acting in a way that like that makes you want to change. You know, you need to want it. You need to want it more than like net positives of changing need to be better than the net positives or the net negatives of staying the same. And I think a lot of times, we suppress our thoughts, we suppress our feelings because there's like a deeper level, an emotional need maybe, of wanting to suffer or feeling like comforted by suffering. Like, you know, and it's definitely like a scientific and like psychological phenomenon, like people staying in like toxic relationships or stuff like that. And I guess, that's kind of what I feel like this can help to show, in the sense that, like, not everyone can afford support or has support, not everyone has friends. Like, some people are lonely, some people hate other people, some people, and I think at the core level, whenever we hate things or people or types of people, people can be very, very resentful about the smallest shit. And you see it all the time on Instagram, on Twitter, shit like that. And one response is like to shit on these people, right? To respond to their hatred with hatred, but it doesn't really solve the problem. At the end of the day, they're humans too, and some of them are probably normal ass dudes that in real life they don't say shit, but behind the screen, they want to talk shit. And there's a place to like hate and like want to protect yourself and like this and that, and not like accept the words of people that are hating on you. I guess not accept, but like you want to like defend yourself, right? You don't want to like just let people walk all over you and shit on you. But at the same time, like at a fundamental level, if we want to change someone or something, we need to understand it. And that includes like the people who people hate the most, typically because they're hateful. Like, for example, incels, involuntary celibates, people who hate women because they like can't have sex, essentially. And a lot of people hate these type of people because they hate people. And it kind of just is a cycle. Listen to that sentence. It's just hatred in response to hatred that just leads to more and more hatred. And it's not gonna solve anything, I don't think. I think you need to understand something if you want to fix it, if you want to change it. Maybe some people don't want to change it. I think that's at the core of a lot of like big problems. Is like, no one is responsible for it. Like, there's no reason to be responsible for people who are shitty. Most people probably don't want to. I guess no one really wants to. But I guess in a sense you can want to if like I feel like for me, like if you recognize like the humanity in them and recognize that they were just a normal person at some point too. Apart from like people who are actually born really fucked up in the head, like psychopaths and shit. But the grand majority of people are just normal ass people, no matter where you're born. You have the culture locally, you have the parameters of what you believe and what your reality is like. But ultimately, we're all just human, and it takes exposure and awareness to realize that. And I don't know, I guess someone needs to be, like we can all like say, oh, it's not my problem, but eventually it will become our problem, right? Like karma, like everything has a consequence. And if no one tries to help the people who are like suffering the most and who are just on the edge of their will to live, yeah, it's easy to hate them, but these are the same people who become just monsters, right? These are the people who become school shooters or mass murderers or shit like that. Like, they have so much hatred in their hearts that they just want to destroy, right? They just want to lash out because no one cared. No one stepped in to intervene and to help them and to try to understand them. And I mean, that's my view. I feel like that's what I've observed, truly. And I think a lot of times the people who are most resentful and most bitter, I mean, yeah, it's shitty, you know, because we all have a choice. When something shitty to us happens, we have the choice of whether we want to, of how we want to respond to it. And we can respond by thinking like, oh, like, that was a really shitty thing for someone to have done to me. Like, I don't ever want someone else to feel that again. So I'm not gonna be like that. But then there's people who are like, oh, like, that's such a shitty thing to have done to me. That's so unfair. Like, no one helped me. Like, I'm gonna lash out and like basically channel this same um, experience. Like, have other people experience the same thing I experienced, so that they can know my suffering. Essentially, you know, it's probably not like a super conscious process, but I think that's at the core of what happens, right? And I guess, yeah, I guess it's my belief that, I mean, everyone, even the worst of us, is just a human being. And, you know, I really enjoy like travel vloggers that travel to places that are misunderstood or controversial, um, and try and understand the place and things. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people that are just, the world's so polarized, or at least it feels that way, right? In the US, especially as an American, it feels very polarized because everyone hates everyone else, right? It feels like everyone hates the people who disagree with them. And part of that is because the people who are loudest are the ones that are most obnoxious and most extreme. But it can be overwhelming, and I think a lot of people start to lose faith, and that's part of like the viciousness of like the really negative like news cycle and media, and even YouTube, even Instagram, even Snapchat, TikTok, everything. I mean, you don't know what's real anymore. There's people who are intentionally going out and making rage bait, making videos to just piss you off. And people fall for it all the time. I'm sure I fall for it too. And, you know, I mean, why do people want to make rage bait? They probably think it's funny that people get angry. And, I mean, why does someone enjoy that? It's probably because at some point something happened to them that fucked them up. And maybe they felt lonely, isolated, they felt like no one cared. And it certainly is their responsibility to choose. I mean, it's their choice. It's everyone's choice how to respond to a horrible event in their life. But, I mean, can we really just not intervene at all, not try and help? We certainly can't control the outcome, but we can control our own action. And I think a lot of times, a lot of the problems in this world, it's because everyone just kind of feels like it's not their responsibility. You know? Pollution, wars. I mean, like, you know, everyone thinks like, oh, it doesn't affect me, like, why should I care? And it's true. I mean, yeah, it doesn't. At the surface, it doesn't. It really doesn't. But we're all interconnected. And especially in the modern world, if nuclear weapons and shit, it kind of shows this principle of like, yeah, you cannot care, but like, and it might not seem like it affects you, and it may not affect you for some time, but it's gonna catch up to you. Like, if the whole world didn't care about what's going on elsewhere in the world, like, we'd be fucked, right? Like, all it takes is for like two people to go fucking crazy. US and fucking, I don't know, US and China, let's say. I'm in China right now. But let's say, like, if US and China went to nuclear war, like, I mean, everyone would be fucked, right? And so, like, we have to care if we want to live. And I guess at some point there are people who stop caring because they don't longer want to win. They don't, oh my gosh, they no longer want to live. They have nothing left to live for, so they want to see the world burn, right? And it's, you know, yeah, I mean, we might not understand them. We might hate them for reaching such a resentful and bitter place, but what does that make us, right? I mean, that means we're just equally as bad because we're choosing hate over love, I guess. It sounds cheesy, but I mean, yeah. We're choosing hate over helping and trying to understand. And I think the more we just focus on ourselves, the worse our lives become. the more bitter we are, the more selfish we are, resentful. Karma, I mean, at the end of the day, every action has a consequence. And, you know, some things may not seem like they affect us, but we're all intertwined in some way. I mean, if the bees go extinct, our whole fucking world collapses, right? There's a balance at play, naturally, in nature. And I think sometimes we forget that. And we get so caught up in our worlds, in our bubbles. Not to blame, I mean, it's easy to. I think the US is quite the bubble. Any country is probably a bubble, you know? But I think sometimes the greatest thing you can do for someone, or the greatest thing you can do, is give the gift of awareness. And, you know, there's some people who maybe you feel like they're very shitty, but they don't realize that they're very shitty, or they're doing very shitty things, or what they're doing is wrong, or what they're doing is fucking up their own life, you know? A lot of times, like, just because we see everyone else going along with the program or following the status quo, we think that we should too, but it really just takes one person to gain that awareness and be like, wait, no, like, this doesn't make any sense, this is fucked up, like, this is not right, this doesn't help us, like, we shouldn't be doing this. It just takes one person, and then, you know, there's that saying of, like, first they laugh at you, then they hate you, then you win, or something like that. Like, all great changers and all great change, people who brought about a lot of change, I mean, they're always very hated and unpopular at first, right? And it takes time for their ideas to really expand and grow. I mean, take like slavery in the US, for example. I mean, there was a whole civil war around just half the country wanting to keep slavery and half of them not. I know that's like a very simplified sentence. I'm no expert, but my point is, that great change isn't going to be popular, or maybe there's going to be a lot of resistance or a lot of hatred, who knows. But I mean, we all have a voice, and whether people listen or not is out of our control, but we still have the power to say something. And I guess that's part of this process, part of my channel, I guess the little chapter I'm in right now, what I've been posting and what I've been trying to figure out. I think there's power in just doing our own input, you know? I mean, what am I really doing? I'm just fucking filming myself talk for like half an hour each day and uploading it to the fucking void of YouTube. At least that's what it feels like, right? But you never know. I mean, I have some videos that do get some traction, and some people comment, and like, these are real people, these are real impacts, real interactions. And you know, communication's a two-way street. It's not just about, just because I don't receive any feedback back doesn't mean that what I'm saying and what I communicate isn't reaching anyone. That's like a very common mistake we make, right? If we like yell like, oh, who's there, into a cave, like maybe there's someone in there who's lost in a cave, and you're like, hello, is there anyone in there? And then they're like really scared. They think you're like the cops or something, and they're like, it's me, it's your brother, like, we're here to help you, are you in there? And then maybe like, oh my gosh, like, maybe it is safe to say something. And then they're like, yeah, I'm in here, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's a good analogy. But basically, you know, communication is a two-way street. And that's something I've been learning, especially in a relationship. Like, anytime someone can say something, you can ask. And anytime you can ask, you can say something. And leading by example is just the greatest way to create change. And I felt that so much in my life lately, especially like just in, I mean, I've already had people tell me that I've inspired them to start vlogging, or like my dad and one of my friends started or not vlogging. My dad told me he wanted to start a vlog channel. My friends started uploading on YouTube again. And like a lot of times, like I try and help people and I feel like I don't really make an impact. I'm not really making a dent. But I'm planting seeds like every time. Every time I'm planting seeds, and there are a lot of times where we have no idea what seeds we're planting. Just existing, we're planting seeds. I was feeling pretty shit. I was just sitting outside in the community nearby where I'm staying, and I was just chilling there. And then this kid bikes up to me, and he's like in Chinese. He's like, "Oh my gosh, like, are you a Waigoran? Are you a foreigner? Like I saw you from like up there." And like, I mean, for him, like this is like a core memory, maybe. You never know. Like he was very excited to see a foreigner. He doesn't see many foreigners. A lot of Chinese people don't see many foreigners. And like, just being somewhere, just existing somewhere, you're making an impact. You're not gonna feel it. Like people aren't always gonna like come up to you and tell you or like admit it. And a lot of people, have trouble being vulnerable and like, or maybe are awkward or feel weird about showing affection or showing appreciation or gratitude. But it's out there. Like we have no idea, truly. And I think the more you're aware, the more you kind of click in and realize that type of shit. And I guess at the end of the day, I mean, it always comes down to awareness. And I guess maybe that's what the whole idea here is. I think I want to show my journey of building my awareness and just see where I end up. I mean, I have no idea where I'll end up. I don't know if I'll keep trying to do travel vlogging. I don't know if I'll be turned off to travel vlogging. Maybe I just need to process some insecurities and anxieties, and maybe I will be really good and happy doing travel vlogging. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll go in a completely different direction. Maybe I'll just talk for the rest of my life, upload to YouTube and just talk. You never know. You really never know. But we can't know, and that's okay. And I guess, I want to just show my process wherever I'm at, because that's okay. Wherever we're at is okay. And a lot of times we dig ourselves deeper because we set these high expectations that, oh, we should be here, we should be that, like, oh, like, I should have done this already, like, blah, blah, blah. And you just build on that shame and guilt for not being where you want to be, and then you just dig yourself deeper and deeper and deeper. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. But, yeah, I mean, it's a dangerous game. And a lot of times we don't need to do anything at all. Just noticing, just building our awareness is all we need. Truly. That's what I believe. And that's really served me in my life in the past weeks. And I have faith that it'll continue to serve me. And I have faith that it'll serve others. And at some point, someday, at least one person will watch this entire video and will feel that the words I've said have served them. That's my hope. It's exciting to think about, but who knows? I mean, who knows? And so, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, too, these videos are more for me than anyone else. It helps me to process my thoughts and to build my awareness. It's a whole different experience thinking in our head versus bringing things out into the real world, into the physical world. Whether that's through journaling, writing down thoughts, or venting, maybe venting to your teddy bear or a pillow or a toy, or to a camera like I am, essentially. It all helps. It's all a different thing, different experience, and it's important to try different things. But only if you want to. If we don't want to, it doesn't matter what I say. Nothing will be important. Nothing is important unless we want to. But that doesn't mean I can't say it, because I can plant that seed, and maybe they won't realize it today, but maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, in a month, in a week, even if someone seems like they have had zero like you had zero impact on them and you didn't get through to them at all, and they were very resistant to what you're trying to say, even though you have good intentions. Like, we change all the time, and we see things differently all the time. Even just through my vlogs. I mean, I'll do a vlog and I'll think one thing and then feel some way in real time, and then like 10 minutes later I'll feel differently. An hour later I'll feel differently. Once I'm done vlogging, I feel differently. Once I'm editing at night, I feel differently. The next day I feel differently. Once it's uploaded, I feel differently. If it pops off or it doesn't pop off, I feel differently. I mean, that's just the nature of us humans, right? We're emotional creatures. We're fickle. We constantly change how we feel. And that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. But I think it's just a matter of leveraging that to our favor. Leveraging it in a way where it serves us and it serves our life as best as we can. And yeah, I guess, yeah. Perfect example, when I started filming 36 minutes ago, I felt shit, but now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty content. Feeling great just having talked it all out. So I think I'll leave it off there. And as always, as usual, let's set a little Easter egg in here. If anybody watched till the end of this video and watched the entire thing, not that you skipped to the end of the video, you watched the entire thing, I want you to comment in the comments. Comment big tree. Big tree. Drop a big tree in the comments if you watched this whole video. And if you did not watch it, then don't. Future you will thank you for being honest. Okay. That feels like a good place to end for me. Checking off from my great big rock in my great big community park area place here in China. And yeah, I am feeling great. I hope you are feeling great too, and you learned something today, and that you built your awareness, because that's all you need. That's all you need to do. The rest will fall into place. So, yeah. Take care. Big tree in the comments if you watched. Okay. Take care. Peace.